Okay guys, good morning. Today we are going to do an exterior siding job. You can tell they have an existing siding and they have a trim, Windsor trim on the side. So we did a little room addition on the front of the house right here. So we are going to do the siding so it matches the ones already on the garage. We are going to do wood trim around the door, bigger header on top, wood trim on the side. We are going to set our corner trim and another piece of trim between the siding of the garage and the new room addition. So that's the first step of doing siding. You set all your corner trims and then you can start laying out your siding material, okay? When we do our trim, we want to set our trim and leave a 1/4 inch reveal between the side here of the front door. So here guys, we use that fancy tool. It's a 1/4 inch reveal tool. So you just set the tool and it will give you exactly your 1/4 inch reveal where to set your corner trim. But you can use this or you can just measure it with a measuring tape. So now that we marked the reveal for our corner, our trim, I'm going to measure the left leg and the right leg. Jordi is going to cut them and we are going to install them. So let's measure. It should be the same size. We are at 80 1/4. Yeah, 80 1/4. So that's our size. So we're going to cut them.
Alright guys, so the next step is going to be dadoing our trim molding to sit over the jam material for the front door. The problem we have here is here's the side of our house, here's the outside elevation of our door. So when we put our siding up, it's almost flush. We have a really big gap. Our client wants our casing to sit over without building it all the way out. So what I'm gonna do is I'll take the measurements. There's a quick trick. I can scribe this. That'll tell me about how much I need to take off of the material. And then I can measure over from that edge. It's about 1 inch. So I'm gonna take this to the table saw. I'm gonna cut 1 inch this way all the way down. Cut my speed square, 1 inch. And trace that line just so you guys can see. What I'm gonna do is take this much material out so that my casing will sit over nice and tight. I've set my table saw blade. You can see the saw. I set the blade up to my line. Now I know that I'm cutting the right depth, so I can set the 1 inch on my guide. I'll measure over my 1 inch, and it's going to be to the outside edge of the blade because I got to count the blade into my cut. Now that's if I want to be tight. Set it right to the 1 inch. It's exact. I'm going to give myself about 1/8 of an inch, and that just lets me have room to set it in case there's any kind of bows or anything going on with the jam. So now I've got that set. I'm going to cut my first line. Now I'm going to set the saw to the depth of my cut. This way when I come back across, I cut out this whole corner. So you'll see when I make this next cut, this whole corner of the material is going to come right off and I'll have a clean edge. So I've got 7/8 of an inch from this edge to this line. So I need to rip using this as my guide against the fence. I'm going to measure over 7/8 of an inch so that I cut that line exactly. There it is. That's the one. Not bad for a cordless table saw. Wow. Now we've got our dado cut. We're going to dry fit that and show you what it looks like. And we can set up nice and tight to our reveal mark all the way down. Makes the client happy and it makes me happy. Alright, so now Ben is priming our Windsor 1 siding. This is an exterior grade, very nice lumber. But it is recommended that any raw edges that you have that are going to be exposed to the elements after a fresh cut, it's a good idea to put some primer on there just to help keep moisture out and prolong the life of this material.
Just use a good quality exterior primer, couple coats on it. Alright, so now guys, the next step is where the existing garage siding is installed. And where our new siding is going to start, we want to put a piece of trim in between so it looks nice. So what I do is I set a piece of trim and I trace it so I know where to cut my siding, right? So I'm going to cut all of those pieces of siding, and once they are all removed, I'm going to slide a piece of trim over and it's going to look beautiful, okay? So let's do this. I'm going to use a multi-tool, a battery-powered multi-tool. Alright guys, so I cut out all siding. Now I'm going to dry fit a small piece of corner to make sure I'm looking good. It looks great. It looks great. It's going to look very nice. Alright, so you see how the eaves of the house are coming at an angle at the top of the wall. So what I did is I calculated that angle. I used the angle finder and see how you're very close right here. I'm going to cut an angle on one end and then I'm going to rip my corner piece to 2 inches wide. Here guys, I'm going to set my table saw at 2 inches wide. So 2 inches, there we are. Let's rip that baby up.
Alright guys, so one of the next little details that we have on our job is this existing brick face and how it's going to tie into our siding. A lot of people will just take this molding, stick it up against the wall, call it a day. We got big old caulking joints against the brick. We don't like that. It doesn't look too good. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take my scribe tool. I've got the Easy Scribe. This one's really nice, but for the brick, I've also got a traditional scribe. It's a little bit more detailed. And what I'm going to do is walk this scribe down the surface and mark every one of these locations where it meets my wood. I'm going to cut out all those little marks and I'm going to get this piece to fit perfectly tight to that brick. A nice small caulking joint, and it's going to look very tight and very professional. Now I've got my trim. We're going to be using the same Windsor 2x material. I'm going to take my correct scribing tool. I'm going to use this piece to mark. What I'll do is I'll bring my pencil to that 2-inch and it's going to tell me where I need to scribe in relationship to the brick. And then as I go in, it'll go in and down and out, all the way down to the bottom until we get a perfect match. What I like to use are a couple of these little trim screws. They got a really small head, so they're easy to cover up and putty when we're done with this. But what I do is I take these, I put a couple of locations, sorry, dropping my screws. Put a couple of these on the board. I can level it and I can screw it in place. That gives me all the time I need to make sure that I get a nice clean scribe line. I can remove the screws without damaging the wood or boogering it up. Some people use nails and then you get hammer marks and all that kind of stuff. I like these little trim screws, really small head. You can get these at Home Depot. Now I take my scribe, I'm going to start scribing this board. Alrighty, we got our scribe on there, we got our little rough line going. Let's grab the jigsaw and get this cut out.
Okay, so now the next step is we are going to do this corner over there, the corner of the room addition. You can see on the existing garage how they did the corner. They have a piece of 2x and they have a piece of 2x butt jointed on the back. So we are going to use the same material and I'm going to scribe it to this corner. So remember, you're going to have a piece of 2x going all the way down and then a piece on the back like this, tapping it, okay? So we need to cut this fascia board. That fascia board's too long. So that's basically the design we want to do right here. We want it to be like this. Okay, so I'm going to mark that fascia board from the back side with my piece of trim. I'm going to mark it and I'm going to cut it. Okay guys, so I cut the piece of fascia board. Now I'm going to sand the edge so it's nice and clean before I put my piece of corner over. That's how it's going to look. I'm going to measure my pieces. I'm going to cut the same angle right here as I cut over there, that 15-degree angle. And I'm going to set that first piece first, and then we are going to do the back side. I set my trim, I just put one nail at the bottom, couple nails on the other side. Now you have a big gap in between. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use those to bring the corners together. And then I'm going to put finish head screws to make sure that my corners are super tight. See guys how I have my reveal right here? Here? That's what you want. You want the same reveal everywhere. So it looks nice. Okay, so now I'm going to put some finish head screws in the corners to make sure my corners are all tight together. Seen it on the previous video, I use a lot that pre-drill. This way we don't split the wood. It's very simple. You pre-drill and then you drive your screw in. There you go. That's how you do it. Now I can nail my trim, and I don't like to use a nail gun because I don't want to mark the wood too much. So I'm just going to hand drive those exterior nails. And then I'm going to use a nail punch to push your head inside. Perfectly level. So now we are going to do it around the front door, and then we are ready to set our siding. Alright guys, now our primer is dry, we can set the front door. Remember we traced a line before for our reveal, so make sure your line matches, and then I'm going to set some finish head screws as well on that one. Alright, that side is done, let's do the next side. Jordi is taking his sweet time over there. Wow. Sweet, sweet time. So now we have our left and right legs. Now I'm going to measure the top. Jordi and I dadoed that board, so we're going to dry feed it, and then I'm going to show you something else. Our board is taller than our opening over there, so what we did is we measured each side of the trim and we snapped a line. Now we are going to use a skill saw, cut the line, sand the edge a little bit, and then it should be ready for us to install. I have a mallet. You want a mallet? It's good. There you go guys, so we install our top header piece. Make sure to sand your edges, prime your end cuts like we talked about, and then we can fasten it, okay? Very easy.
There it is, let's check the finished product. Much tighter, much cleaner. Our painter goes in there with some caulk and it's gonna come out really nice.
So now all our trim is installed, we need to set our siding. The first step on setting siding is you always have to put a piece of trim at the bottom on the first board, so the board kicks out a little bit. See how all those boards kicked out a little bit? If you don't put that piece first, it's going to be sitting flat like this and the water won't run off. So you always have to put that piece first. 37.
What we're doing in order to match the existing siding is we're taking a laser level, this is my laser, and I'm shooting it across these existing siding boards, and I'm making sure that my new pieces line up. So when you look at this, it'll all continue on the same plane.
So how you are? Hurry!
Hey, best luck. It's not easy being a rock star.
Right, boss? Right.
And I give, because I'm a giver. I've always been a giver.
And there's a rope that hangs from the ceiling.
Oh, looks like next. Hi guys, here we go. Siding is done. We install our pieces of trim. Right, you can look at the detail. The reveal on the door jamb is equal all around the door. We did our corner trim, right? All our trim first, like I explained earlier, and then we set a laser and we install the siding to match the garage. Here we install the light box. We're going to have an exterior light. It's a nice little detail. And yeah, that's about it. So now the next step here is the painter is going to punch the nail heads, is going to putty the holes, caulk all the seams, and then we're going to paint it. It's going to look beautiful. So we are very happy. The customer is super happy. It's done. Thank you for watching.